Jesus, Lord. Good evening. We are here live at the studio. We're coming to you right here. We thank you for joining us tonight. We have a wonderful program laid out for you. But before we get started, we're going to open up with a word of prayer. Eternal God of our Father, creator of all heavens and the earth, maker of all good and perfect gifts. In you there is no variance or turning away from the truth. God, as we just come tonight to facilitate, to just bring an awareness to your people, we ask now that you would anoint everything that is said and done. You alone would receive all honor, glory, and praise. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. So we thank you for being with us. We have a wonderful show for you tonight. But before I forget, I want to give an announcement out that this week on Friday and Sunday, 2 service out at 10 a.m. and a special service at 5 p.m. We're going to be like a kingdom atmosphere at the church revival with this young prophet, evangelist, our guest evangelist, revivalist, Matthias Rogers, going to be with us from More International from New Jersey. He's coming up with his crew. And so come out and be part of it. The service is, again, 10 o'clock on Sunday. 6:30 p.m. on Sunday evening. Let me rephrase that. We have Friday 6:30. I'm looking at the announcement. Friday 6:30 and Sunday 10 o'clock and Sunday at 5 p.m. So we're grateful and we're thankful. Remember to be part of John 6:63 where Jesus says, "My word are spirit and they are life." I want to read a few verses of scriptures to you. Then I'm going to introduce my guests that are here tonight. And it coming to us from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 25. Now, those of you that ever sat under any of my teaching on eschatology, you know I understand that this dealing with Israel. However, I just want to use it as a reference point tonight. So Matthew 25, verse 31 says, "When the Son of Man shall come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then shall he set up on the throne of his glory, and before him shall be gathered all nations. And he shall separate them one from another, as the shepherd divided his sheep from the goats. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on the left. Then shall the king say unto them on his right hand, Come ye be blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry," he goes on to say. He says, "I was hungry." Give me a second, my tab jump. "For I was hungry, and you gave me to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, you took me in. Naked, you clothed me. I was sick, you visited me. In prison, and you came unto me. Then shall the righteous answer him and say, Lord, when saw we thee hunger and fed thee, thirsty and gave thee drink? When saw we thee a stranger and took thee in, or naked and clothed thee? When saw we sick or in prison and came unto thee? The king shall answer and say unto them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, inasmuch as you have done this to the least of these my brethren, you have done it unto me." And then he goes on, he talks about the goats and how they saw him hungry, didn't give him anything to eat, naked, did not clothe him, and how he saw them sick, did not take care of them, in prison, and did not visit with them. And they're going to ask him, say, well, when did we see you all these predicament of life? He says, as you've done it to the least of these my brethren, you have done it unto me also. So we want to use this a little bit as a piggyback tonight as we talk about something that affects all of us. It affects all of us directly and or indirectly. When we're talking about the prison population, the recidivism that's taking place within our correction center, DOC department, and what can we do as a community? What can we do as a faith-based community? What can we do come together collaboratively to try to at least address some of the systemic issues that are before me? But to better talk about this is to my right, which would be your left if you're watching, is our minister Stephanie Browder. She's one of our ministers at the church, and also Brother Winston, who was at the Shiloh church, and they're going to come tonight, and as we're going to address this awareness, this whole concept about what is happening right here in our own state, in our own backyard, and some of the problems that we're all faced with, whether directly, indirectly, family member, loved ones. When you were in prison, you did not even think about me. So Stephanie, Brother Winston, we're so glad to have you tonight. So let's talk a little bit about this upcoming conference that's taking place. Give us the date and everything, and then we're going to just go for it.
Okay, again, Pastor Burns, we thank you for allowing us to be here, and we love your show.
Yes.
It's a blessing to be able to let the good news out and let the community know about what we're trying to do as a community. This month, April, is a Prison Awareness Month. We are trying to let people know about, like you said, some of the statistics about our community, how the prison population is growing. We also, part of our ministry at the Shiloh Baptist Church, we are trying to do a prevention. We started a mentor program. So I'm hoping that some of your guests, some adults who have some time, who can volunteer and be with us with the mentor program. And also we're looking for young people, young men first, between the ages of 12 to 18 to join our mentor program from the New London, Groton, and perhaps the Norwich area. So we have part of our prison ministry, we have 3 programs. We have our regular prison ministry, which we go every Monday. We go into a prison in southeastern Connecticut. We do life skills, Bible study. We pray with them, sing with them, and then out of the prison ministry, we have this community prison awareness prevention gathering, and that's where we invite the whole community to join us every year. October the 24th is going to be as a whole conference for 5 hours. October the 24th at the Shiloh Family Life Center, and then we have part of that. The offspring of that is the mentor program. We're trying to concentrate this year on prevention. We know that we're talking in the back end of working with young people coming out of prison, but what about prevention? And I'm going to let Stephanie give you some statistics about what happens when there's no father around.
Thanks, Brother Winston. As you know, Pastor, this is definitely one of my passions.
Yes, absolutely.
And at our church, we already have a prison ministry, but I just want to also put out there that being a part of the community prison awareness that Brother Winston has actually created, he's been a part of this for more than 17 years. And let me also say that this year he is the recipient of one of the awards that is coming out of the prevention conference, which is in Hartford. And for more information, you can actually contact Brother Winston about that. The conference is coming up on the 24th of April, the last Saturday of the month, and I'm sorry, the 25th of April. And one of the things that I love about him is that he does not try to feel as though this is something that we can do by ourselves. Exactly. This is something that has to do with the community, because it really involves the community in terms of everyone being affected, like you said. And so with us trying to look for mentors, this isn't just about Brother Winston looking for mentors. We're really seeking the community. No matter what church you go to, no matter where you are, you can be a part of the community prison awareness team, not just for the mentoring program, but also in terms of the conference. We do a lot of things together because we recognize that we can have our own prison ministries within our churches, but we really, really, really have to look at how do we do things on a bigger scale. And so we'll talk about that, as we go further on in the program. And the reason why I brought all of that to the forefront is because both Brother Winston and I work in social services. And so we recognize that in child protection, that the majority of the children that we deal with that are adolescents, it is either because of a lack of a father in the home, and generally that's because that father is, either involved in some type of situation where it's illegal or they're imprisoned. And that then sets the precedence for that young child to not have an adult that is readily available, a father that is readily available to assist. Not saying that mothers can't do it, they definitely can, but it really takes two parents to raise a child, whether they're together or not. And so what we have found is that when we don't do a prevention, when we don't do what's needed to try and assist these young people, 35% of all children, no matter what their race, no matter what their ethnicity is, are considered to be fatherless. That's a large
That's
number.
a large number.
That's a large number. It does not mean that they, that the parents don't have a relationship, but it could be several reasons why that father is not there. And we believe that in that 35% or 33%, I should say, it is because of the incarceration rates. 71% of high school dropouts come from fatherless homes. So then we recognize that 60% of the prisoners are some of those high school dropouts. So we can see that this is generational. It goes from one generation to the next. 70% of prisoners come from fatherless homes. 71% of teenage pregnancies are in fatherless homes. So we can see how necessary it is for us, not that women that are incarcerated or there should not be a prevention to help young women to not become incarcerated, but we see the statistics are just blaring that you really, really need to pay attention to our young men. That is really, really important.
Well, let's just take some of these statistical facts that you laid out and just, and let's just dissect them just a little bit. For an example, some of the things that really leaped out to me was the fact of the economical and social divides that we're having. Because if you have a single mom that's probably working 2 jobs,
Yes.
who's watching the children?
Absolutely.
I mean, who's at home?
Exactly.
And this is real. This is real talk. I mean, because you have a mom that is out there trying to do all she knows to provide for that son, provide for her children. And however, as she's out here maybe juggling 2 jobs, the kids are kind of almost left to govern themselves.
Yes.
And here we go, where we have the peer pressure, the influence,
Yes.
and even the gang influence. So it is a real problem, and it's very, very real, because it's not something that we can just shout away and bury our heads and hope this
And
going
pray
to.
away.
It's not going to happen.
That's right.
It is something that we must begin to methodically get to the root cause, which again goes full circle back to the fathers, the absenteeism fathers in the home. An African American family is 75%.
Yes.
So we even greater than the national stats.
Absolutely.
And so now we're looking at an issue where how do we bridge this gap? What are some of the things that we can do as men? Even let me just ask this question, because you spoke a little earlier about the mentor program. So what are some of the qualifications some of these men that may be listening to us tonight, and they say, well, I may have a passion to do something like that, but I don't know if I can. So what are some of the things you're looking for if a guy can offer his service and bring it to the table? What are some of the qualifications you are looking for?
First, we're looking for at least 1 year commitment. You got to be willing to commit 1 year to this program, and also you got to be able to have some time, be able to have some time to spend with your mentee. We also going to be having training. Actually, we started training. We have a session already started. We've been meeting. We have some mentors already. We're training them right now. So you have to go to monthly training, monthly meetings we have at our church. And we do checks, background checks, because we're working with children, and we have different workshops that help the mentors understand how to deal with kids. If you have a kid that have issues at home, so how do you deal with that? And also mandated reporting. If somebody say that my parents beat me, we're obligated to tell somebody about it. So it's basic training, but it's a lot of support. So you're not going to be out there by yourself, because a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to get a mentee and I'll be by myself. Actually, we'll be doing a lot of group things together first, and we'll be working together. And this is going to be part of recreational, educational. We even is religious based, so we'll also be telling the young people about values, about treating one another with respect, preparing young people how to get jobs, how to present themselves, resume writing. So we'll be targeting the group, the young people between 12 to 18. So that's a big range right there. And brother and sister, I believe if we start working on prevention first, intervention and prevention, I think that's the key, and the sad thing, a lot of the social services, we having a budget cutbacks now. They're hitting those Head Start programs, they're hitting all those major programs, after school programs. But I think we're obligated, not only as a church, but as a community person, to do something about it. We all want to march when something happens, somebody gets shot or something. But what about coming together as a community? And we need you all, the whole community, the churches and the businesses and everybody, the schools. How about we all come together and organize ourselves and have programs for our kids after school and do things with them? So,
and I echo what you're saying, but let's just look at the reality here. The mindset in most community is not my problem.
Right.
Exactly.
It's not. Until it touch us personally.
Yes.
Then we're not willing to do something about it. And this is where we need to understand that a simple concept that prevention is still the best cure.
Exactly.
Yes.
If you can head off a disease before it metastasizes and spread throughout the body, you're gonna save yourself a lot of headache and pain and suffering. But we don't do that now. We just wait, as you're saying, till something happen, and then we want to rally the community, get together. But it is important that we understand, if we see a kid going astray or going in the wrong direction, it affects all of us.
Exactly.
It does affect all of us. So it's important. I mean, this is real. This is real talk, to the degree that our prisons are booming. Now, I'm gonna go on record tonight to say that Jim Crowism and slavery is still alive. It's just changed
The place,
venues.
that's right. Yes.
It just changed venues.
Yes.
I mean, we still got shackles and chains.
Yes.
But it's between the left and the right ear.
Yes.
If we don't start dealing with and understand now that we're talking a multi-billion-dollar industry here.
Absolutely.
So for every inmate that's incarcerated, I mean, you have to have someone that's feeding that person if they need medical care, or if they have some type of mental issues. That's you're gonna have to bring in the professional psychiatrists and psychologists to deal with that. You're talking about housing and things. We're talking billions of dollars here. And so if we can just really think about what's going on and how come that we're having such a vast, and it's getting worse.
It is.
Let's be real about it.
And it's amazing how you said that, we definitely have the attitude that it doesn't affect me. But what we have seen in these last incidents of young men who have been shot by police is that no one expected those kids to actually die. And so in that sense, we can look at this and say it does not affect us, but you don't know when it will. Right. That's the whole piece, is that you don't know if, innocently, maybe your nephew or your grandchild or, your brother is with someone. And just because they're in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong person, they get grouped into that incident. And so then now it becomes your problem. So in order to prevent that, because we never know when it could hit our home, this is the best time to do that. And when Brother Winston was talking about, coming together with programs, I totally agree that we have to stop waiting on the government to do things for us. And so there are churches who have people who want to volunteer to do things, and that's what we're here for, is to ask the community, especially people who are in church. I believe that a lot of times we're the most giving volunteers that there are, and so if there's a church available, or if there's people in churches who want to volunteer their times to set up programs, those are the people that we're looking for this mentorship program. If there's a young person who wants to start a bowling team, or a young person who wants to start a basketball team or a softball team, these young men need something to do on a regular basis, and it does not have to be something that we have to reach out and ask the government to support. I believe that we can do that out of our churches, and I think that if enough of us come together, that it's something that can be successful.
Oh, absolutely. Now, let me ask you, since you spoke that, how successful, or should I say, do we have a way to gauge how well we're doing when it comes down to the mentor-mentee approach? I mean, are we seeing a slow turnaround? Are we seeing results? Are we getting results from the program you have in place today?
Well, the program we have is just starting. But we all know there's stats already out there saying that mentoring works. You know, I have had several different type of mentors. I have had a religious mentor. I do artwork. I have a mentor to help me with my artwork, mentoring on the job, just in the community. So we all know having a one positive person in your life that that we can change a child's life. You know, so we know statistically mentoring works. That's prevention right there.
And also too, just within the men's prisons, we could talk about Sal.
Yeah.
Sal G is I would say one of the greatest mentors. He's in his 80s now. He's been doing it for 30 years.
Wow.
And he personally did a lot of mentoring one-on-one with young men in prison, and they have been successful.
Exactly.
So in this area, they have been successful. So, and he has a lot of connections, a lot of networks. And what his desire has been is to take that information and that education that he has and knowledge around how to mentor and to pass that on to someone, because he knows that it works. So not just for young people, but he's done mentoring for the men who are in jail, and they've been successful. And they have, even though some of them may have returned to jail, it has not, the percentage has not been as high as it would have been had they not had someone like Sal.
So we actually have proof then.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
absolutely there.
And that's what is important, because people may say, well, yeah, okay, I want to jump in this thing, but does it really work?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
It does.
So we're telling you live today that it does work. It's what we're called to do as men and women of the gospel. Sometimes we get it kind of confused when it comes down to the simplicity of this truth of the Word of God. But remember the text I read to you from Matthew 25. When I was in prison, you really didn't care about me, because why? It's not my problem. But yes, it is. That someone's son, someone's father, uncle, and nephew that is incarcerated. Now, we don't have to wait for another Ferguson to take place in our backyard before we all, go charging down the roads of the streets. Let's take this seriously, my brothers and sisters, to the degree that is something that is already in place. We don't have to recreate the wheel. We have a man of God who has given this, because you cannot love something that you do not have a passion for.
Right.
He has a passion for this. Minister Browder has a passion for this. It's not something we're doing because we don't have anything else to do. It's in our hearts. And it's something we really want to get you involved in. And so if we could just change one son, one daughter, one person that turns from that decision making into something more positive. And when I was a youngster coming up, I never forget, we had the Catholic Church.
Yes.
We had the Catholic Church, and the priest, I can't even tell you his name, but one thing I do remember about this guy, he went out there and threw a softball a country mile. That much I remember about him with his garb on. He threw that ball a country mile. But what this priest would do, I know we're on TV, but you ain't gonna say nothing at the church. But he would take us downstairs in the basement, and we learned how to do pottery.
Wow.
I actually was, I got pretty good at it, I don't want nobody to think I'm soft, because, but that's what we did. I'm talking about kids that, in my case, probably would not have been here if it was not for this one man who opened up his basement and had the Kindle over there and showed us how to mix the molding and come out with, we had fun. And it kept us out of trouble.
Yes.
It really, really
That's
did.
it.
And this is what we offer. And we don't have like the YMCA anymore like we used to, the YWCA, the boys clubs, and things like that. So how is this going to happen? We're the one that's going to make it happen. And all it takes is one person with an idea. And if we get behind that idea, the scripture says Nehemiah had a vision, but the people had a mind to work.
That's it.
If we get behind the visionary, we can make this happen.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't it be great to close down these prisons?
I mean,
Put them out of business.
I'm telling you that just amazes me too about how much money it takes to build those prisons.
Oh my
I mean,
God.
whoever is the builder or the contractor, I mean, makes millions off of that and can live off of that. And if we could take that money and pour that back into the lives, because I know that we can't really talk about giving the prisoners money or even giving these mentors money, but time, that's more valuable
Right.
because that lasted a lifetime for you.
Yeah,
and
it
then
did.
you wound up giving your time to someone else, so it was something that was reciprocated, and it kept going. So I think that's what people have to really realize, is that sometimes you feel like you're not reaching someone, or but you never know how important it is just spending a few moments or a year with someone, how important that really is and how it really changes their lives. And I think that even more important is that how the visionary, as you talked about, Winston, he's really looking at how can we get into the churches to sit down, and we're willing to do that. We're willing to come into the churches, speak to whoever is in charge of the prison ministries, speak to the pastors, so that we can really show you these new brochures that
Some
that
nice
were just done.
Volunteers making brochures.
Volunteers making brochures, beautifully done, and how we can sit and really talk about how do you fit into this vision. Even if you don't know what to do in terms of the mentoring program, maybe you don't have time to be a mentor. But if we could come into the churches to explain what it is that we do in more detail, and you help us to understand what you have. I mean, that's a hand, kind of holding another hand, and then another hand, and before you know it, we have hands holding around the community that protect these kids.
Now, that was very well put. Very well put. I want to deal with two things real quick, and I'm quite sure he would not mind me mentioning his name, because most of us know Attorney Lonnie Braxton.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yes.
And he was over at G10, and then he went over to Juvie in
Yes.
Waterford. And so I sat down and had a little, one-on-one with him, because we go way, way back. And so what Attorney Braxton said to me, he goes, Reverend, if I can stop them from becoming part of the system,
Yes.
then I won't have to worry about them going through the system.
That's it.
And I said that to say, because I remember having a conversation with some of the inmates that was now, trying to get themselves back together. And one thing they said to me, they says, Reverend, we need jobs. And so here's where the problem lies, is it's hard enough to get a job
Right.
when you have a stellar resume.
Exactly.
Right.
It's hard enough.
Right.
And it's so difficult for us to sometimes get this, to communicate this to these young men,
Yeah.
to say that this is what you do not want to do. I have a young man in mind right now that I made some phone calls, and he got his foot through the door at Electric Boat. And he called me, says he was excited. He was in until they did their background check.
That's it.
Until
That's
they
it.
did the background check.
Yes.
And we really need to communicate this, that, like you're saying, if we can keep you out of the system
Yes.
from the beginning, if we can prevent you from going down that road, then there's so many things, there's so many other areas that you'll be able to tap into. And so can we just talk about that a little bit? Because one of the things they said now was about the jobs. He said, Reverend, we need jobs. So I know that you're building from the ground up. You're looking more at trying to get people back in some type of balance and fluidity of flowing in life. But is there anything out here that we can say, all right, I know you talked about some of the job skills or the life skills that you're working with, but is there any way that we can, even if it means us coming together to try to create whatever we need to some of these men with skills, but they are not given opportunity?
Yeah, and I think like one of the things in our community prison awareness, we could do like a job fair.
Yeah.
Have employers come to the
Excellent.
churches in the community to have jobs, because I've known a lot of brethren who came out of prison and they got jobs now, because they want to work. They have skills, and they even learn some of the skills in the prison. You know, they learn different skills, cooking and different things of that nature. But I know one thing our governor is doing is called the second chance policy.
Yes.
He passed. So giving people second chances, and now, like you said, they're trying to build jobs for people. You know, you shouldn't. You already served your time in prison. We don't condone doing something wrong and hurting somebody. But a lot of our brothers and sisters in prison is nonviolent crime. They had a drug problem. They sold drugs, had marijuana on them. And another thing, even our president now, they're recognizing, our attorney general is recognizing all these folks in jail because they had some marijuana on them, and they all did 5 to 10 years in jail. We can't, as citizens of the United States, we can't lock people up because if they have issues and poverty issues, you know. So jobs is a major thing. Housing and jobs are two major things. And even one day I'm praying that our ministry can have some type of training programs and jobs connecting with the businesses in the EB and all the other places where we can have placements. Say, okay, you coming out, you clean, you in the transitional housing, and now, okay, there's some jobs lined up for you.
I also think too that just to add to that, transitional housing is important.
Exactly.
I think that we do have some transitional housing out there, but there was one that that was actually part of the conference last year, and the basis for that house in this area is a religious basis. And I think if we have more of those, more. Now, I don't want to say religious, but more of a spiritual base. I think that really gives some good foundation and good grounds in terms of values for those men, because then it's more than just being accountable to a person. It's also helping them to change from the inside out. Because a lot of times, you know, when you get discouraged when you're coming out, you'll return to the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, when you have not really changed from the inside. And so when you give them a place that they can feel as though someone cares about them, that they have a basis for values and a basis for trying to get their life together and morals and learning how to do things differently than they did before, that really speaks a lot. But a lot of that takes place where you live. Exactly. And so your environment, exactly, your environment plays a big key. And so if we could set up those type of transitional houses, or people are willing to rent out their buildings, their apartments, that kind of stuff, it's really, really important. And especially churches that, I know we go into the prisons a lot, but what happens is that we lose them from the time that they get out of prison.
Exactly.
So if we could have some kind of way to touch base with them to say, listen, when you come out, if this is where you're going to be living, make sure that you touch base with this church. You know, and it doesn't have to be a specific church. It just needs to be, you know, one of the churches in the area that's going to network and stay in contact with them, because they need that. They need to know that somebody cares about them. A lot of these men in prison, you know, I've heard them say, you know, nobody really cared what I did. Yeah. And so they weren't accountable to anybody. And so when they have someone that says, you know what, my brother, I'm gonna hold you to this, you know, but I'm also gonna encourage you while you're doing that. That makes a big difference in a person's life when they feel like someone cares about them and someone's holding them accountable to what they need to be responsible for. So there's a lot that the church can do, not just in terms of having a job fair and not just having a house, but also just making contact with them on a regular basis. That's huge.
And that's why we came up with the Community Prison Awareness Prevention Gathering, because there's so much you can do, and we can do what we can do. But can you imagine a whole community get together and all the skills? And we have like within one church we have doctors, we have lawyer, teachers, we have people who work with and all type of fields, you know. And I'm like, wow, we're rich with so much. And resources
Lots
right there.
Of resources. I mean, just from the church.
Exactly. And I think even other folks realizing that the church has a lot of resources.
Yes.
So let's tap in on those resources. But it's very rewarding when you volunteer your time, when you help another individual. You can't help but be blessed, Pastor. I know you know about him. I know my sister, because we've been doing volunteering work for so long. But you know, God give us an opportunity, you know, to be able to go to work, and after we come from work, we come back to these other things, and we're still concerned about our community. We're still concerned about people, poor people who've been in trouble, people who have mental health issues. So we're still concerned about our community, and that's what God called us to do. And so if you out there, preacher, teacher, a doctor, lawyer, you can get a hold of us. You can contact me, brotherwinston.com. You can call us at 860-889-3292. Get a hold of Shiloh Baptist Church, or you can New Life Baptist
Church, right? New Life Christian Fellowship Church. Yeah.
So we can come together and do things, and this does work. And so I'm just excited about just the support from our pastor here and the other community people coming together. And all this is volunteer work. And we have businesses coming and giving us resources. This brochure here, the Prison Awareness Prevention Gathering, like I said, the month of April is Prison Awareness, where we're trying to not only educate, but to recruit volunteers, to get people to know about this is a serious problem. Incarceration not only affect that individual who does the crime, it affects children, families, communities, and a whole community. So it affects all of us. So that's why we're compassionate about this, because it has to start with us. We have to be concerned about our own citizens. If we don't do anything, nobody will do anything.
That's true.
So
it's important for us to also recognize that I think that when we talk about this, the prevention part, we do want to reach ages from 12 to 25, to 18, yeah. I'm sorry, from 12 to 18. But I think that we also want to help families that have been affected by this incarceration.
Exactly.
There are more grandparents who are raising second generations and third generations, believe it or not, because this is it affects families to this extent. And so when we talk about prison awareness, a lot of people, when you talk about prison ministry, like, oh, I don't want to go into the prison. That's understandable, because it some people do have a phobia about that. I mean, you are locked in, and just going into the actual, four walls, it can be very different in terms of, what you feel when you're in there. But that's not the only type of prison ministry that can be done. So many other things can be done in the community. This is not just about men or women who are in prison. It's about what happens to them when they get out.
Exactly.
Because if they don't have something to hold on to, even if people have cleaning businesses and they want to hire them to clean, or maybe you just want to teach them how to clean. Maybe you want to mentor somebody for 3 months to teach them how to do construction, to teach them how to do something simple. But whatever is your own individual passion, we're asking people that whatever your passion is, if you know how to bake, if you know how to cook, whatever that is, volunteer with us. Just at least give us your name, and at the time that we need you, we can call you and say, listen, we got some people who are looking for A, B, C, and D. So this doesn't even have to be a long commitment. This can just be a commitment that you can be part of for a specific period of time. So we're just asking people to just get involved, period. And the only reason why we continue to talk about prison ministry, it really could be community ministry. But it just so happens to be targeted towards the people who really, really need it the most at this time. And those are persons who are coming out of being incarcerated. And also preventing those young men from going in. That's huge. That's huge for us.
I actually felt the compassion from both of you as you were kind of putting your hearts out there on the table. Unfortunately, here we go again with the transition homes.
Yes.
Not in my backyard.
Exactly. Yes.
That's the unfortunate part.
Yes.
But if we, as a community, not just a faith base or a church, but as a community as a whole, we're going to lose this generation.
Yes.
We have a generation right now that is right at the breaking point, because as has been said, they don't think anyone really cares. It's almost like, who cares? Who cares if I get in trouble or if I do well in school? And this is where I'm so appreciative of the fact that you're doing what you're doing and have such a passion by it. Because you're looking at that 12 to that 18 range, and that's what we're talking about. That's that area where we begin to pick up that most influential area.
Yes.
And we see these young kids now, they're right at the breaking point where they can go one way in or the other. But if we have that positive role model, if we have someone from the business community, a successful person, or not. They don't have to be the greatest of the greatest.
Exactly.
Yes.
But just someone that says, look, take it from me. This is a road that you do not want to go down.
Exactly.
And this is what we're asking for, because what we just want is just a little of your time. We're not asking for your right arm, but just some time. Invest in your own future. I never forget, and I still have this happen, where I have a person come up to me and goes, Pastor, I have no idea who this individual is. And so they goes, well, I was at such and such a prison, and you came up there,
Wow.
and you spoke to us.
Yes.
I never forget those. I took those words.
Yes.
I took notes down, and because of those things you shared, and I'm saying to myself, I don't remember you, and I really don't remember what I said that far back. But you never know the impact you may have on the
That's
individual
right.
life
Yes.
if you just give a little bit of time.
Exactly.
Pastor, every place I go, I run into those same brethren
Yes.
from the 3 prisons we go to, and I just say, which prison? Because once they tell me which prison they came from, I say, okay, I remember you.
Yes.
Like you said, it's a lot of brethren, but you in the grocery store, on the streets, I run into people. I ran into this week. I ran into like 2 people who were in prison before, and now they're with family. And I think that's another thing too, is when they come out of prison, they're going to be connected back with family.
Right.
And so it would behoove us to try to get them situated and get them into placement situations so they can go back and so they can be the fathers and be the mothers that they want to be to
And
their
the
families.
sons.
The
and
sons,
the brothers.
exactly. So,
and those families, they also need supports as
Exactly.
well. So how difficult is it for a sister or a mom, to really, think about their loved one being in prison for a period of time? And sometimes I watch the children and the family members go into they have to go through the bars in order to go in to visit their loved one. That's a difficult process.
Yeah.
Even they need support. So even if there are people out there that say, well, I'm not really sure if I really want to deal with the prison person themselves, there are the families that are connected to those persons. They need support as well. So whatever you can do to encourage them, to tell them, hang in there, it's going to be okay. Because no matter what, like you said, they need to return to their families. Now, sometimes that may not always be good.
Right.
And so what needs to change for that family in order to make sure that, that person is not triggered and that they don't return to the same stuff that they just left from. So there's a lot of different levels that we could talk about that people can help in.
But this is where the awareness conference
Exactly.
is going to
Absolutely.
address these
Yes.
questions and things of that nature. I just thought about, as you were speaking, Minister Stephanie, I thought about this right here. I never forget this as long as I live. We had one of our youth that got himself in a little bit of trouble. By the way, because I've been to the courthouses more than I care to think about. But this guy was over at juvie in Waterford. So I went over there and I was going to speak on his behalf, So I got there at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12
a lot of
o'clock,
waiting.
Such a juvenile.
1 o'clock.
We know.
They never called this kid in. So about maybe 1:30, here come the mom walking out the door with the child, and they getting ready to leave. Now watch this now. So I said, okay, somebody explain something to me. What's going on? She said, the judge dismissed his case.
Wow.
And that's what I said. Wow. Well, what happened? Was there a glitch in the system? Here's what the judge says. If his pastor would wait that long for him, he must be worth the investment.
Wow.
I'm going to give him a second chance.
That's big.
And threw his case out.
That's
I
big.
said, well, I'm out of here. You don't have to tell me twice before the guy changes his mind, right?
That's big.
But just, I
Somebody
really didn't
showing
mind.
Yes.
But we have to understand it's so important because you never know how you're going to impact
Wow,
someone
that's
else,
huge.
even the system at times.
That's
but
right.
threw the kid case out.
Wow.
I never forget that as long as I live.
That's big. And I hope that youth never forgets that either.
I don't even remember which one it was. If you're watching tonight, kid,
Come back. and give back.
Yes, it's important though.
It is.
It is so
anything you
important.
can do, any time that you can give. I mean, it's just so important. And I hear a lot of the men now that, that's where we are right now, is in the men's prisons. I hear them talk about how grateful they are that people come in and want to talk to them, and people come in and, want to pray with them. They're very grateful. So I think that, and we've also heard from some of the men who have gotten out how important it was that they had people that they could still stay connected to. We've had a couple of young men that have joined our church, of course, that were incarcerated at one point and have done well. So I think that
Their new life.
yeah.
To God be the glory. Hallelujah.
I was going to say his name, but I don't want to say his name without him being here. But yes, we've had we've had those young men come, and so some of them have come and actually done well, and then moved out of the area. So, and they have not gotten into trouble. So it does work.
It works.
It does. It definitely does work. And you never know the impact of what you have on someone's life when you're talking to them. I remember when I was in York Correctional Institute. This was about 15 years ago when Reverend Etter was there, and at the time I had done a program, and it was called I forgot what it was called, but it was a WHIP, Women in Praise program. And what happened was
I remember that.
Yeah, and it was so successful. I had 4 dynamic women with me: Joanne Miller, Wanda, Pat Brown, and myself. And we would go in twice a month. And because of that, we were only in there for like 2 years, but because of that program, 3 of the women that came out, when they initially came out, they started their own program.
Wow.
And so I never forgot that, and I didn't even know that. Actually, other people were telling me about when they joined other churches that these women had started a support group, because they had that support while they were incarcerated. They started their own support group when they got out. So that's one of the things that I do want to actually resurrect in York at some point when we get back in there.
Yeah, we want to get back into the women's prison. Actually, a lady who came back to this area, she want to meet with us so we can talk about the women's prison and do a Bible study and do life skills in the women's prison. So basically, what we're just trying to say is this is April is Prison Awareness Month. If you're even if you're a young man between the ages of 12 and 18, talk to your parents. Let's say you're looking for a mentor, you're looking for some help, somebody to help guide you. You can contact the Shiloh Baptist Church. You can contact me, Brother Winston, at 860-889-3292, and I'll give you the application, because it's a whole application process too. You got to fill out the survey, and then we'll process it, and for mentor and mentees. And so we do trainings when we meet monthly. We've been meeting since our last conference in October. We've been meeting monthly and just organizing ourselves and networking. And Sister Stephanie and myself will be going to different churches and community places to let people know about what we're doing and what we can offer, and how we need your help, how we need your participation. So we'll be going different places. So call on us and join us. Even if you have made a mistake. We also use at our conference last year, in October. We used about 3 men who were in prison.
Yes.
They led workshops.
Yes, they did.
Who better can tell you what not to do?
Right.
And one man was from Norwalk, I believe, and one person from this area. But so we reach all over Connecticut. Bridgeport, New Haven, Hartford, New London, Groton, Norwich. Because people from all over the place. And actually, we call the prison ministry an international ministry, because you got people from all over the country in prison,
That's right.
So, and just because I see our time is far spent.
Fast, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did. But just for the record, so for some of you pastors, I was there last year because I believe in putting legs to your prayers.
Amen.
So once you finish
Appreciate
praying,
that.
get up and let's get about the Father's business.
Yes.
I want to say to my daughter, Stephanie, you never cease to impress me.
Thank you, sir.
Brother
Thank
Winston,
you so
I
much for
thank
your
God
support,
for you.
man.
So
Thank
once
you.
again, this is going to be kicking off. You tell us that all the specifics of when it's going to happen on this.
Actually, this month, April, is Prison Awareness Prevention Gathering. It's awareness where we're going to be going to different churches. We're going to be on the radio station just telling you about awareness and how you can join us. But October the 24th this year, October the 24th, we'll have our big conference where we invite all type of people from the community. And basically, we're going to be dealing with how the media how the media portray our people. So we're going to be inviting the media to come and have a panel discussion how they better can portray our young men and women, and instead of throwing the camera in our face and doing that, how can they work with us? Because the civil rights movement, if it wasn't for the media showing those pictures of the dogs biting those kids and all that stuff, it'll be less of a movement. But by showing, so we need the media, we need the newspapers, the radio, the television media, which help our ministry to get the word out too. So we need them as well. So, but this year we're going to talk about how we can better engage the news media, whether it's written, and I would like some of the papers to come and contact us, because can you imagine, it's very hard to get a story about something good.
Yeah.
To get the mentor program, it's very hard. Now, if I say about killing and shootings, everybody be zooming down here, want to help out. But it's very hard, and been doing this for many years, trying to knock on the newspaper and talk to the editor, is very hard to get a story. And so I'm hoping that you all can help us get a story out, a positive story, how we're making a difference. So
listen, I'm gonna wrap this up, but to the New London Day, the Norwich Bulletin, and all you guys, I'm gonna put you on blast. Let's get this story out, and let's write some positive news, because it does sell. We know that we have some hurdles that we must go over, but we don't want to be have a unnecessary stereotype of our young men today. So please join us in this fight in prevention. And again, we thank you for being with us tonight from the Reality of the Word. I have to let you go. Pastor Johnny L. Burns, Senior, send shalom. God bless you.